So you're thinking about moving to Midvale, Utah, or you want to know more information about the pros and the cons of living in Midvale, Utah, then this is the perfect video for you. I'm going to go into what's good, what's bad, and I'm getting after it right now. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Greg Spackman. I'm with the Living in Salt Lake City channel. So if you're looking to learn everything about what it's like to live here, eat here, sleep here, play here in the Salt Lake City area and Midvale area, then click the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I do new videos. I've been getting a ton of people lately that are reaching out to me about making that move to the Salt Lake City area. I absolutely love it. So if that's you, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I've got your back if you're moving to Salt Lake City. So you want to know what the good things are and the bad things about living in Midvale. So before I get into those, I'm going to show you where Midvale is on the map so you can get a good idea, give you some ideas about what's close to it and all of that. So let's jump right in. All right, so I have Google Maps open here. You can see right here in the center of the screen, this is Midvale here. And as I zoom out, you're going to see to the north is Salt Lake City, and then kind of south on I-15 down to the very bottom is Provo. So it's kind of not halfway. It's much closer to Salt Lake City than it is to Provo, but it's not that far to Provo. But just to give you an idea of where some things are, you're about 17 minutes to Salt Lake City, which is amazing. You're 21 minutes to the airport. You're 40 minutes out east, kind of ish, to Park City. You're about 32 minutes away from the nearest ski resort, which would be Solitude and Brighton. And by the way, those are my favorite ski resorts, and they just happen to be the closest for you. But way back when I was in college, years ago, we came out and we went to a bunch of different ski resorts here in Utah, and Solitude and Brighton were my favorite ones to ski at. So I would highly recommend that you try those if you're a skier or snowboarder, but they are amazing. Utah does have the best snow on earth, if you didn't know that already. But the nearest place to play in the water, so if you're looking to do water sports, boating, fishing, camping near the water, all of that, you're about 50 minutes to Deer Creek Reservoir. So let me show you where that is. That's this reservoir right here. That's Deer Creek. And then you are 43 minutes to Jordanelle, which is this one up here. So these aren't that far in between. You're about 25 minutes away from Littledale Reservoir, and that's out this way here, and that's right, this little reservoir here. Now, I have not been to Littledale, so I can't speak to it, but the other ones that I've been to are amazing. Jordanelle is a little bit colder water than Deer Creek, so we typically go to Deer Creek. Deer Creek is awesome. It's about $20 to pay for parking in either of the two lots, and then you can just set up your canopy and stuff by the shore. But it's awesome. We go there a couple times a year to hang out at the water. All right, so that gave you an idea of where Midvale is, distances to certain things, and all of that. So hopefully that's why you're picking Midvale, is just its proximity and location to Salt Lake City. So that leads us into con number one, and that's the housing prices. And so the best way for us to show you the housing prices is just to open up my website, thespackmangroup.com, and show you what current prices are for sale, and then I can talk about that a little bit. So here we are on my website, and I sorted by newest. You can see that there are 37 homes currently for sale. So there's not a ton of inventory in Midvale for sale, but there's enough for us to pick something good for you. You have a 4-2 right here at $669. You have a 4-2 here for $565, a little 2-1 for $450, 4-3, $574. There's a little 1-bedroom, 1-bath. That's interesting, $385. You got a 4-4, $475, a 3-2. It's an investor special, so it's going to need to be flipped. It's going to need to be fully renovated, but that one might be cool if you like doing that sort of work, or you just want to be able to renovate it to your liking. $369. Here's a 2-2, $599. Oh, wow, huge 25 by 24 detached garage and RV parking. Here's a 4-3 that was remodeled, $565. Looks like they've dropped the price. What did they drop it to? There we go, 15,000 bucks. Oh, as of today. Here's a 4.2, 499, 555. So it looks like we are anywhere in the 300 to 600 range here, depending upon what size home you're looking for to be in Midvale. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of the current housing market here in Midvale. And one of the things you'll notice for Midvale is most of the land is built out as far as the housing goes. So there's not very much new construction in Midvale. You're going to be getting an older home that's probably renovated or one that needs to be renovated. Just depends on what you're looking for. And that's definitely something that we can talk about once you reach out to us. So let's talk about the first pro on the list, and that's the good food choices and options that you have in Midvale. So some places you can get to eat are Great India, Freddy's Frozen Custard, which if you haven't eaten, it's pretty good fast food burgers. It's a different taste than In-N-Out Burger, which you have here. So just know that it's a great place to try. The custard is actually really, really good. You have Culver's, you have R&R Barbecue, Popeye's Chicken, Mobetta's is my favorite Hawaiian style teriyaki type chicken is what I get there all the time with the white rice and the macaroni. Really, really good. You have Pretty Bird. Of course, you got McDonald's. You have a Denny's. What else you got? You even have a Golden Corral buffet and grill. Never been there, but you definitely have that. You have a Longhorn Steakhouse. You have a Raising Cane's. You have Dave's Hot Chicken. There's just a ton of different food options. Firehouse Subs, Five Guys, J-Dogs. You are not going to be starved for places to eat in Midvale and a bunch of different ones. There aren't a ton of restaurants, mostly like a Chili's that's here, Buffalo Wild Wings and Longhorn, Buca de Beppo, Jimmy John's, Waffle Love. So really, you're going to have lots of different food options in Midvale. And then you got Murray that's right next door, and Sandy as well. So food is going to be amazing. So as far as pro number 2 and con number 2, they go right together. And those are what are the rankings and reviews as far as Midvale goes. And these are according to niche.com. So we're going to take a look at those and talk about those now. All right, so I opened up niche.com here. Overall, they give Midvale an A- ranking. It is the number 22 best place to retire in Utah, which is interesting, but it's a great city to live in without retiring. B+ for public schools. I've heard the schools are hit and miss. I do have a niece that goes to school in Midvale, and she really likes it. So as far as that goes, I do know that. And she is currently in elementary school, getting ready to go into middle school next year or junior high, whatever you want to call it. C+ for housing. A- good for families. Once again, I have family that live in Midvale, and they really like Midvale itself. So they said that it's good for families as well. B for jobs. I think that job-wise, Midvale itself is not all that great, but since you're so close to Salt Lake, it's really like an A. C- cost of living. The housing prices are, I guess, pretty average in Midvale across all of Salt Lake City, so it's not any more expensive or less expensive really to live in Midvale, although it does look like you can get some $300,000 homes and then upgrade them yourself, so you can save some money that way. A for outdoor activities. You are super close to all outdoor activities, like I said. They don't cover crime and safety. A for nightlife. A for diversity. Midvale, I have heard, is a very diverse city, so if that's important to you, it ranks really, really well there. B- weather. I think Midvale has pretty standard weather across all of the Salt Lake City region. It does get a little less snow than some other areas that are closer to the mountains, but it still gets snow. A+ health and fitness, and then A for commute. So commute wise, since you're right in the middle there, you can get to Salt Lake City relatively quickly, and you're going to have traffic pretty much going into Salt Lake or potentially going down to Provo anyways, no matter where you live, but at least you're closer in Midvale. Other rankings, best suburb for young professional, number 1 in Utah. Most diverse suburb in Utah, number 6. As I mentioned, it's pretty diverse. And best place for young professionals in Utah, number 7. Which is interesting that it's the best suburb, but best place are different. But whatever, that's their rankings. Con number 3 of living in Midvale is going to be your local city type jobs. They really don't pay well. There's lots of, fast food type places or small businesses that just don't pay a ton. However, you're local to, Sandy, Draper, Lehigh, Salt Lake City, and those major cities where you're going to be able to get a good paying job. So if you're wanting to work locally, you're going to be working for some sort of small business, and those just aren't going to pay very well unless you open your own small business, and then, sky's the limit. Pro number 3 of living in Midvale is the public transportation. So public transportation is pretty amazing. As far as Midvale goes, there are 2 tracks locations. That's part of the Blue Line, and that goes up into Salt Lake. Down to Draper is where it ends, but then it goes up into Salt Lake, and you can then get to the international airport. You can get all around. You can even switch to the Red Line and go out to South Jordan. You just have great opportunity because you got 2 track stations in your own city. So that's awesome. You're about a 10-minute drive to the Front Runner train. So if you're wanting to take that, there's also buses, Uber and Lyft, and ride shares that are available in Midvale. So public transportation, it's awesome in Midvale. Pro number 4 of living in Midvale, and that's that it's a very diverse city. So I already touched on this a little, but it's not a huge town in relation to other cities nearby, but this area is a place for people who are just married, or you're starting a family, or you're single, or you're retirees, or pretty much anyone can live in Midvale and feel at home. It's a fairly quiet city. It's just a very, very, sort of a unique city in the Salt Lake City area because it has so much of everything going to it or going for it. And the fact that its proximity to Salt Lake City are super, super close. You got the public transportation. All of that makes Midvale one of the great cities to pick as long as you like what homes are for sale there. The last thing I want to touch on is the weather. And as far as Midvale goes, it's very similar to Salt Lake City. So you're going to get anywhere from 12 inches of snow to about 48 inches of snowish a year. You may have that rare year where you're going to get more than that, or when you get less than that. But for the most part, you're going to get somewhere around 2 to 4 feet of snow that you're going to have to shovel from your driveway or have shoveled. And so your kids are going to be able to play in the snow. You can play in the snow, or you just got to deal with snow. For the most part, the roads are very, very well plowed, so you can get around really easily. You also know that, or one other thing I like to recommend anyone moving to Utah from other states is that you have at least one vehicle with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, just so the rare chance when they haven't plowed or you're coming home and it's a snowstorm, you can get around much, much safer with one of those. Although it's not a necessity, I just like to recommend if you should have one car. The one other thing to make note is the official car of Utah is the Subaru. So you're going to see a billion Subarus on the road. And I think that's mainly due to the cost and the fact that a lot of them are all-wheel drive. So you're going to see tons and tons of people with Subarus here. I think I see them more than any other car around the road. But back to the weather, you get a really nice summer. We typically don't get too hot. We don't get cold really in the summer. It's just really, really nice. It doesn't get dark out till late. So you can definitely work all day, then go on a hike after work, which is what I like to do. And then fall time, you're going to have all the leaves changing, and that's super cool to see. And wintertime, once again, I touched on the snow. It doesn't rain a ton in Utah. You're going to get maybe 20 inches or so of rain a year. Although it does do this thing in the late summer where it will lightly sprinkle and then the wind blows and it blows dust on your car. So I think that's a thing that the car washes here have set up with the weather. Like they did something so the weather could do that, because you're probably going to end up with a monthly pass to one of the car washes here. And that way you can In the wintertime, you can keep all the salt and stuff off of your car. And the summertime, you can keep your car looking nice for the dust that gets on it from the wind. Springtime, awesome. You're tired of the cold weather because it gets a little cold in the 20 to 40 degree range all wintertime typically. And then spring it's in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So it's super nice. And then, like I said, Midvale is going to have less snow than other cities and more mild temperatures. And that's just where it sits in the valley in relation to the mountains on both sides. So hopefully those pros and cons make you want to make that move to Midvale, or more information about Midvale or another city here in Salt Lake City. If that's the case, please reach out to me and the team. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. So until next time, be rad.